If you've been in Ottawa this summer, you'll have no doubt seen or maybe heard the police helicopter that has been perpetually circling above the city for the last several months. It's one of 5 police helicopters that the Doug Ford government purchased for the cost of $134 million. Apparently there's no money for healthcare, but there's money for police helicopters. The official justification for the helicopters is to help to stop car theft, according to a CBC News article from July 2024, and we're going to quote the article here. Hours after Ottawa police halted their chase of an alleged car thief, Chief Eric Stubbs stood at the Rockcliffe Airport Tuesday in front of a helicopter, one he says would have made that pursuit easier and safer. It's convenient that that helicopter was there for him to have a photo op with. The article goes on. It's a situation that plays out regularly, according to officials, with police wary of potentially deadly high-speed chases as stolen vehicles speed out of the city, across the border to the Montreal port, and out of the country. It's also worth noting that there actually have been recent deadly police chases. So, yeah, maybe they're paying attention to that? Maybe not. Let's find out. The organized crime element has also created a jurisdictional headache and a focus on the scope of the problem around Toronto. That's why one day earlier, the province announced it was purchasing 5 police helicopters, although one of those helicopters will be designated for Ontario Provincial Police to use here in Ottawa. Now, how convenient that the Ottawa Police Chief was able to announce the acquisition of a new police helicopter hours after a failed police chase. How fortunate for them, and not at all suspicious that they had such a ready excuse for their new toy. The CBC News article goes on. Ontario Provincial Police Acting Commissioner Carrie Dart called it a momentous announcement that will see its police partners better equipped to handle ongoing issues. Wonder what those issues are. Let's find out. Quote, air support is critical to the success of various police operations, such as locating stolen vehicles, pursuing and apprehending suspects, and finding vulnerable and missing persons to reunite them with the families and loved ones. Unquote. Oh, that sounds good, doesn't it, right? But is that really what the police helicopters are all about? We go on. While the helicopter belongs to the OPP and will be flown by one of its members, someone from the Ottawa Police will be in the passenger seat to provide local expertise and direction. Pretty useless there. That position will be new and paid for through the provincial funding, Ottawa Police confirmed. Quote, this helicopter will be owned and operated by the OPP, but make no mistake, they quoted twice. Keeping the people of Ottawa safe will be its priority, and so said Ontario Solicitor General Michael Kersner. So the police helicopter in Ottawa is being operated by the Ontario Provincial Police, flying over the jurisdiction of the Ottawa Police Service, which makes a mockery of the claim that organized crime is creating jurisdictional headaches. The CBC News article even admits that the jurisdictional headaches will continue to exist. The article says, as for whether competing jurisdictions will get in the way of a pursuit, MPP Lisa MacLeod said there is the possibility, when needed, during an emergency, to take the police helicopter into neighboring Gatineau, Quebec, and sort out who pays later. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to work out very well. Putting aside the fact that Lisa MacLeod is one of the most loathsome politicians to have sat in the Ontario legislature for the last several years, there is clearly no actual plan for how these police helicopters will be used. After all, what kind of a response is it to say that you will sort out who pays later, especially when you're talking about violating the airspace of La Belle Province? I'm sure they won't really appreciate it. But in reality, it seems the political class and their police bodyguards are playing fast and loose with the public when it comes to justifying this massive expenditure on police helicopters. At a time when people across the province are struggling to survive, the authorities want the public to be cowed by their power and might. There is also zero explanation or evidence offered by the police or the political class that the helicopters will be able to actually stop car thefts. The Ottawa Police has already a fleet of drones, but according to the police chief, these toys just don't get the job done. Well, we're going to quote the CBC News article again. Stubbs said that his department now uses drones for some of these tasks, a tool that's far less expensive but also more limited. Since a pilot on the ground has to see the drone at all times, he said there's no flexibility to follow a suspect who speeds off. Now, it's pretty amazing to hear the Chief of Police of Ottawa admit that his police drones are limited and have no flexibility, considering that the OPS has been flying drones over political protests for years now, especially after October 7th, 2023. At the recent Labor Day parade here in Ottawa, there were 2 police drones hovering over the crowd, especially the pro-Palestine contingent, while high above, the police helicopter circled. Such dangerous people, these Labor Day paraders and picnickers, right? 2 police drones. It seems the police get all the toys and money and resources they cry for, while the average people in Ontario get nothing but austerity and cuts to social services. Ultimately, the claim that police helicopters will help stop car thefts is unsubstantiated by any facts, evidence, or research. And as we will see in this reading from the book Police, a Field Guide, the main purpose and use of police helicopters is to deter crime. To quote the reading briefly, air power is the permanent presence of coercion and intimidation. It produces physical and psychological shock. This is the deterrent, unquote. In other words, police helicopters are a form of state social control. The dictionary definition of terrorism is the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. Perhaps when the police do it, it's not illegal. But it's still a form of terrorizing the local population into submission. And I would call that a form of state terrorism. Now, you're welcome to tell me different. In the meantime, let's see what authors David Correia and Tyler Wall have to say about police helicopters and why the cops are so intent on dominating the skies above our heads. Join me while I read. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, more than 200 police departments in the U.S. engage in aerial law enforcement through the use of helicopters and, to a lesser degree, fixed-wing aircraft. The Los Angeles Police Department's Air Support Division is the world's largest municipal police aviation department, with nearly 100 officers and 19 helicopters, and operates out of the largest heliport in the United States. Combined with the 18 helicopters of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Aero Division, the skies above Los Angeles are never without police helicopters. The pivotal moment for the police helicopter as a routine form of police urban patrol came in 1966 in Lakewood, California, a suburb of Los Angeles. Project Sky Night, funded by the National Crime Commission and conceived by Los Angeles County Sheriff Peter J. Pitchess, proposed the helicopter as a means of continuous, constant aerial patrol. Pitchess, who used helicopters first during the 1965 Watts riot, sought to extend the helicopter's potential for permanent police patrol. A promotional video for Project Sky Night described the helicopter as bad news for bad guys, while explaining that the experiment, quote, takes its name of the knight of old, whose vow was to protect the weak and to pursue the wicked. But all too often the bad guys got away, unquote. Project Sky Night was celebrated by the media, which called the helicopter the Heavenly Prowl Car. Today, Airbus markets its helicopters as a force multiplier to police departments worldwide. Their sales materials describe its use. Quote, in Europe, when crowds or demonstrations grow unruly, helicopters discreetly ferry crowd control police into position so as to avoid provoking violence that might put ground personnel at risk, unquote. In my long experience, I have never seen the cops trying to avoid provoking violence, but anyway. More than 2,000 police helicopters prowl the skies over U.S. cities. If we consider the tactical helicopters operated by the U.S. police departments as a unit, it is larger than every military on Earth except for the fleets maintained by the United States, China, and Russia. One of the craziest things about the police in Ottawa is that they have so little to do that they find hiding spots like this, where they just sit around and do nothing. It's quite amazing, actually. They just hide. And it's wild because they're very, very close to the headquarters. Like, there's the headquarters there. But they love this little spot to hide. Hi, Piggy. There's the police helicopter now. Womp womp. Sounds like it's farting. Police helicopters are loud and visible and serve as a constant reminder of the ubiquity and reach of police power. That reach usually extends specifically to what police call crime-infested neighborhoods. But air power obliterates any useful distinction between suspect and bystander, target and non-target. As one LA journalist wrote in 1992, quote, "Hearing LAPD helicopters circling overhead is a nightly phenomenon over much of the Los Angeles basin, even in middle-class neighborhoods like my own. Their regular, circular flight patterns have a way of making people feel as if they're smack in the center of a crime drama," unquote. It's also useful to point out at this point that here in Ottawa, the police helicopter has just been circling the city over and over again all summer long, for months now, just circling overhead. Police explain that this nightly phenomenon of police in the air supports the work of police on the ground. They use helicopters to quickly locate and track fleeing suspects, for example. But nearly all police departments claim aerial patrols serve first and foremost as a deterrent. According to the Institute for Police Studies, police helicopters contribute to a significant deterrent effect. The Chicago Police Department claims its helicopter operations, quote, "enhance the capabilities of first responders through the deterrence and prevention of crime," unquote. What does it mean for police to invoke deterrence as a way to explain the purpose of aerial policing? Deterrence has long been a guiding logic of police power and patrol strategies specifically. The introduction of the police helicopter promised to revolutionize the police powers of deterrence through nearly magical powers of total mobility and swift punishment. Police power is positioned as omnipresent, all-seeing, and able to stop crime before it happens. Deterrence theory is also at the heart of military strategy and engagement. The theory of deterrence proposes confronting a threat with the permanent presence of intimidating and overwhelming power, with the promise of punishment, swift and severe. This requires not just air power, but air superiority. Whoever controls the air generally controls the surface, according to a 1995 Air Force study. Air power is the permanent presence of coercion and intimidation. It produces physical and psychological shock. This is the deterrence. And is it necessary in a city like Ottawa, one of the safest cities in North America? No. Who are they trying to deter here? They just proliferate, these cops. Given how many squad cars there are on the roads, it's very difficult to understand why we need a police helicopter. According to a former member of the Police Services Board, here in Ottawa, at any given time, there have to be at least 47 police officers or vehicles on the road in Ottawa, and now we have a police helicopter. Go figure. The constant sound of police helicopters hovering over South Central Los Angeles underscores nearly every scene of director John Singleton's 1991 film, Boys in the Hood. The ominous sound of helicopters and sirens is the film's soundtrack. And the helicopter's thermal imagers and 1 million watt searchlights turn night into day. Singleton depicts a South Central Los Angeles where police power occupies everyday life, peering into windows and drowning out conversations. The film's co-star, Ice Cube, called the police helicopters ghetto birds on his 1993 album Lethal Injection. That same year, hip-hop artist KRS-One, in his song Sound of the Police, sang "Whoop Whoop, that's the sound of the police. Whoop whoop, that's the sound of the beast. He repeats the word overseer over and over again in the song until it sounds like officer, connecting the history of slavery and the slave patrol to police. Quote, the overseer rode around the plantation. The officer is off patrolling all of the nation, unquote. So I think it's worth stopping here for a moment just to point out that last year this community policing station was set up to police the market here in Ottawa, and it's been an absolute failure. Like there's no one in here. They've spent millions and millions of dollars on this space. There's no police in here. It's not staffed. It even says that it's not staffed. It says to call 911. And when you ask the local people here in Byward Market what the effect of this has been, they'll actually say, business owners and people on the streets will say it's gotten worse since the police put this in. So now we got a helicopter flying around the city. That's gonna make things better? Shame. Now, sister, what do you think about this, the police community station here and the helicopter flying around?
They don't help the community at all. There's too many fights, too many people being hurt, and a lot of people being transferred to the hospital, being beat up, or stabbed, or hit by cars. This station was a waste of the city's money.
What do you think of the helicopter? You've seen it flying around?
Yeah, and that was a waste of the city's money. When they can put the money that they put in here in the helicopter to get people like myself off the street.
That's right.
There's too many women, especially, that live on the streets because there's not enough shelters for us women.
When they talk about doing nation building, right? Canada's supposed to be nation building. What do you think of that when you see all the cops, all the money for cops, but no money for people?
There's not enough money for cops. Like, there's money for cops, but there's not enough money for people that are have Indian or people like myself. There's not enough money, and the rent in the city is right out to lunch.
It's too damn high.
There's too much economy, but there's not enough housing for people that are on disability or on welfare.
It's going to the cops, right?
You might as well hurt somebody and go to jail. That's if you can get caught. Because cops don't do nothing.
Thank you very much, sister. And here we have some of the most useless cops in Ottawa. These transit cops cost more than $25 million a year, and what do? They find poor brown people to harass on the bus. Air power serves the same purpose whether in Kosovo, Iraq, or South Central Los Angeles, or Ottawa apparently. Whether we're talking about a military no-fly zone in Iraq after the first Gulf War, or the no-fly zone above Ferguson, Missouri after the police killing of Michael Brown. It is the ever-present threat of punishment. Military bombs falling on Iraqi villages, or police searchlights landing on Compton streets. A US military drone killing a dozen people in a wedding party in Yemen in 2014, or Philadelphia police dropping bombs from helicopters on Black Move activists in 1985, killing 11 people, including 5 children. Quote, whoop whoop, that's the sound of the police. Whoop whoop, that's the sound of the beast. Now, before you go thinking that I'm being a little bit over-exaggerating with the idea that Canada's police are becoming more militarized, why should we be surprised, right? How many years were we in Afghanistan? Canadian forces were in Iraq. We bombed the hell out of Libya. Canadian forces have been involved in all kinds of horrendous things. And now look at this. We have militarized police in Canada. Canadian chickens coming home to roost. And here we are a few hours later. And did you know that police can 69? They do this all the time here in Ottawa. They 69 their vehicles, which is very funny and ironic considering that here we have the slut walk, which is just about to start. And here we have our slutty little pigs as they 69. Oh, Ottawa. So it seems that rather than a cure for car theft, the police helicopters are intended to terrorize local populations in Ontario. But there's a delicious, almost obscene irony about the police helicopter menacing the skies over Ottawa. As it drones on above our heads, intending to make us quiver in fear and obedience, it actually sounds like it's farting. Seriously. If you've been under its flight path, you may have noticed that the police helicopter sounds like it's having some intestinal problems. Far from whoop whoop, the cop chopper sounds like it's passing gas out of a very loose sphincter. Should we be surprised given that the police and the political class are so full of shit? I don't think so. Anyway, this would be humorous if it wasn't so horrible. I'm standing in a park where people are sleeping at night, and during the day, the police helicopter flies overhead. This is dystopia. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Ciao for now.
Yes means fuck me, no means fuck you! Yes means fuck me, no means fuck you!